Good afternoon. Glad to know you're with us and welcome to CoreTV News at 4. I am Emmanuel Ezekiel. President-elect Muhammadu Buhari has arrived at the presidential villa for a tour of the facilities. He arrived at exactly 11 a.m. and immediately went into a closed-door meeting with outgoing President Goodluck Jonathan. The president is expected to conduct Buhari round the villa. In the meantime, President Goodluck Jonathan has formally presented his handover notes to President-elect Muhammadu Buhari. The presentation was done shortly after Jonathan conducted Buhari round the presidential villa. He also handed over an executive summary of his handover notes, as well as a copy of the report of the National Conference to the incoming president. Vice President Namadi Sambo had also similarly conducted the Vice President-elect Yemi Osinbajo round his wing of the villa. More details later in our subsequent bulletins. President Goodluck Jonathan has met with the nation's security chiefs for the last time as their commander-in-chief. The security meeting was held behind closed doors on Wednesday night at the presidential villa, Abuja. No official statement was issued at the end of the session, and none of the security chiefs agreed to speak with State House correspondents. Now, the last cabinet meeting of the Jonathan administration was held, but with a very emotional one. It was also an opportunity for ministers and other top government officials to pay tribute to the principals as he prepares to vacate the presidential villa. Our correspondent Basi Aye reports on the valedictory Federal Executive Council session. Her report.
It was the last gathering of members of the Federal Executive Council presided over by President Jonathan. All the cabinet members, both the old and the newly appointed, were in attendance at the valedictory session. The mood on this occasion was different from previous meetings. The smiles were few and the usual banter was virtually absent. And one after the other, they recounted their stay in office.
And we have been with you for 5 years. I have never seen such a person like you and your advice with your humility and your teamwork. You never scolded any one of us. As for me and my colleague Jumoke, who said I should render this valedictory speech on our collective behalf because she is inadvertently not here, we are utmostly grateful.
Mr. President, you are our hero today and for all times because you came, you saw, and you conquered. You conquered arrogance in leadership. You conquered selfishness by leadership. You conquered distrust because you trusted people to a fault.
I want to thank you, Mr. President, firstly, for providing me with the opportunity to serve our great nation. My presence in this Executive Council chambers is indeed rare, as many would describe the solar eclipse of the sun, because I am an Ogoni man.
Other top officials of the administration also used the opportunity to pay tribute to their principal and the cordial working relationship they enjoyed.
I will remain internally grateful. I shall always be part of the Goodluck family. I shall forever remain your ambassador extraordinary, plenipotentiary, wherever I find myself. Your spirit of patriotism and dedication to duty was not only exemplary but commendable.
As I leave office, I am pleased to go home with 2 treasures from your political wisdom box. That is 1, your ambition is not worth the blood of any Nigerian. 2, any person who uses more than 40% of his powers would be a nuisance to his people.
As is customary, the outgoing Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces was the last to speak. He commended his cabinet members for their willingness to serve and appreciated Nigerians for the opportunity given his administration.
We have been an independent nation for 55 years, and we have been in the United Nations 5 times as members of the Security Council. Out of that 5 times, 2 times within this 5 years. That shows clearly that the rest of the world appreciates our little contributions to global issues. Even in education, the road systems, we've added Kalsambila to our dams. Sports have done wonderfully well within this period. There's massive growth in MSMEs, micro, small and medium-scale enterprises. And of course, the financial inclusion within this period is more than ever before.
After the emotional speeches, the ministers took one final group picture, which would be for many of them a historic reminder of their time as cabinet members. Basia Ye, CoreTV News, Abuja.
Staying with the outgoing president, Goodluck Jonathan, he has advised incoming president and president-elect Muhammadu Buhari against restricting any probe he intends to carry out to his administration alone. He wants the incoming government of Buhari to take a look at other administrations if he doesn't want to be accused of witch hunting. The outgoing president said this at the valedictory session of the Federal Executive Council at the Presidential Villa, Abuja. He also maintained that he has not dissolved his cabinet because all ministers are expected to attend inauguration dinner on Thursday, today, in their official capacity.
It's not as if we had no products, but they just refused to lift. Diesel was deregulated long ago. So the issue was not the product. But people will feel that they must bring this government to its knees, even when they know we have a few days to live. But we thank God that we are getting over it, and God will see us through. Some people are even calling for the probe of the government. I agree in Nigeria there are a number of things that we could probe. Very, very many things. Even debts owed by states and debts owed by this nation from 1960 up to this time. They say this is the Jonathan administration that is owing all these debts. And I believe that anybody who is calling for probe must also ensure that these probes are extended beyond the Jonathan administration.
Mr. President, sir, you will be remembered more by your quotable quotes. My ambition is not worth the blood of any Nigerian. I conceded defeat so that our country will be peaceful. We need to have a country before we can have an ambition, among many other things. Congratulations again, Mr. President.
Our efforts are not in vain. From the dome of these council chambers, we sought to improve our country, grow our infrastructure stock, from Kashambila to East-West Road. We sought to revise the living standards of our people, and we offered them invaluable opportunity to have a say in the way they are governed. We had tense moments in these councils the period I was here. We argued, we laughed, we noted, we approved. Under your guidance, our ethnic differences melted in the face of your nationalist zeal. Our strong position shifted and accommodated because you were a true servant leader. You deployed 16 years of experience in driving a council where though tribes and tongues differ, we stood in brotherhood. Mr. President, you sought to build a nation where no man is oppressed.
Outgoing President Goodluck Jonathan has made a last-minute effort to get the National Assembly to approve the recommendations of the 2014 National Conference. This comes a few hours to the end of his tenure as president and more than 8 months after the end of the conference. In a letter sent to the two chambers, the president outlined some of the areas the report touched on and urged the federal lawmakers to speed up its consideration. Senate President David Mark presented the report to the Senate without making any observations.
Excellency, at the meeting of the Federal Executive Council on the 18th of March 2015, Council considered and approved the report of the conference and resolved as follows. A, that the draft bills be transmitted to the National Assembly for enactment into law. B, that the recommendations, resolutions that are outside the purview of the federal government be forwarded to the relevant tiers of government for implementation. And C, that relevant agencies of government should harmonize the conference resolutions with extant policies for immediate implementation. Distinguished Senate President, The report of the National Conference is hereby forwarded to the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria for consideration and necessary legislative actions.
Meanwhile, President Goodluck Jonathan and the National Assembly have finally settled their dispute over the ongoing constitutional amendment process. This development is as a result of a directive by a 7-man panel of the Supreme Court led by the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Mahmood Mohammed, on Monday, asking lawyers to both parties to broker a settlement talk between their clients. The court had then adjourned till Wednesday for the report of settlement. Counsel to the Attorney General of the Federation, Bayo, who instituted a suit on behalf of the President, and Adegboyega Awomolo San, who represented the National Assembly, told the Apex Court panel that both parties made concessions before arriving at a settlement. The Apex Court adjourned till 4 p.m. on Wednesday to enable the plaintiff to file notice of discountenance of the suit. Lawyers to the parties declined to give details of the concessions reached until the terms of the settlements and note of discountenance are filed. President Goodluck Jonathan had refused to assent to the fourth alteration bill on the grounds of the alleged failure of the National Assembly to fulfill the mandatory requirement for the passage of the bill. The AGF, on behalf of the President, had then filed the suit to challenge the passage of the bill by the National Assembly following the threat by legislators to override the President's assent. The plaintiff is opposed to, among other provisions in the proposed amendment of the Constitution, which conferred on the National Assembly the power to pass an amendment of the Constitution without the President's consent. Minister of Interior Abba Moro has appealed to the incoming government to complete ongoing projects initiated by the Jonathan administration. The minister made a call after commissioning and inspecting various projects at the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps Academy in Abuja. He attributed the nation's underdevelopment to what he described as policy somersault after each transition.
That one of the greatest problems that we have had in administration in Nigeria is the problem of policy somersaults, of ministers and government agents and officials abandoning projects that they inherited from previous governments on the mere excuse that they were not awarded by them, they were not conceived by them, and therefore should be left to the dustbin of history. That is the bane of underdevelopment of Nigeria. I would therefore encourage the incoming Minister of Interior to take off from where we are stopping and take the ministry to the next level of development to add value to the life of the ordinary Nigerian.
Minister of Interior there, Abba Moro. Away from that now, the Northern Socio-Political Organization, the Arawa Consultative Forum, has lashed out at President Goodluck Jonathan over the state of the nation in the last days of his administration. ACF pointed out at a current energy crisis and concluded that it was a deliberate attempt to hinder the smooth takeoff of the incoming government. The group said in a statement by its spokesman, Muhammad Ibrahim, that Nigerians do not deserve the hardships they are going through at the moment. ACF added that it is not the parting gift of the outgoing government should be handing out to the people. It also berated the outgoing president for the gale of sack and appointments he made a few days to the end of his administration. Now to judicial matters, the Supreme Court has affirmed Rauf Aregbesola as a duly elected governor of Osun State in the 2014 governorship election in the state. The decision was made by a 7-man panel of justices led by Justice John Fabiyi, which ruled that the appeal brought by a candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Iola Omishere, lacked merit. The Apex Court argued that the appellant was unable to prove that Independent National Electoral Commission did not comply with the Electoral Act. The court also upheld the decision of the lower court, which had earlier struck out the issue of electoral malpractices raised by the petitioner.
The Supreme Court, the decision is not only binding, it's final, and that is the end of the case as far as the gubernatorial election of Osun State has conducted is concerned. We have no further place to go in respect of this matter, and we have no choice than to abide with all the decisions, the pronouncements of the court, as far as the issue relating to our appeal is concerned before them.
Our own kind of appeal is a cost appeal, was upheld by this court. More interestingly, the court advised that next time cases like this should not even come up to this court at all, because it has no merit at all. It has no foundation to stay, and it should not even come to this court at all.
It's a landmark judgment by the Supreme Court. Secondly, the judgment is also very important because they were able to distinguish the case of Said Ayakowa on the interpretation of Section 18, Subsection 4 of the First Schedule of the Electoral Act by saying that non-compliance with filing of Form TF 07 and TF 08 to kickstart the hearing session is fundamental, and any petitioner that did not comply with that would be deemed that his petition has been abandoned. Thirdly, on whether Interpretation Act will be interposed in computation of time for the post-election petition. It's also a landmark, clear, authoritative pronouncement of the Supreme Court that henceforth Interpretation Act is no longer allowed for the purpose of computing time in election petition.
Our next story is who becomes the next Senate president in this 8th Assembly, where a group of senators-elect backing the aspiration of Senator Ahmad Lawan for the Senate presidency say 40 senators-elect on the platform of the All Progressives Congress have endorsed the Yobe North lawmaker. The Senate Unity Forum disclosed this at a news conference in Abuja a few days after Senator Bukola Saraki provided a document signed by 34 out of the 59 APC senators-elect. But in response, the group's leader, Barnabas Gemade, noted that all 40 senators-elect who have expressed support for Lawan would be unveiled to the public in due course.
That will defer all other items.
It is still more than 1 week to the inauguration of the 8th Senate, but the main contenders to the position of Senate presidency are not resting on their oars. Ahmed Lawal, who seems to be enjoying the support of some APC leaders, is already being described as Senate president designated by his backers. Members of the Senate Unity Forum showed up at the news conference, brimming with confidence. This, the leadership say, is because they already have the commitment of 40 APC senators-elect.
We have about 40 senators-elect that have keyed in on this project. We do wish to launch such a list when they have all returned to Abuja. APC senators. That is the point of correction, not 40 senators altogether, APC senators. And we know that there's a large number of PDP and other party senators elect that are also keyed in on this project.
But the snitch Bukola Saraki had a few days ago insisted that he has 34 already signed up to back him out of 59 APC incoming senators.
Whatever they tell you, this is a letter that we submitted to the chairman. People's name, signature, and that ends at 34. And this is not, it's a letter with the party chairman now. So if they say at 37, you say 34 to 37, 71, let them send this 37 or show you like this and send it to the chairman. This is not, these are names. This is not fake. Huh? You can wear.
So, who is not tinkering with numbers? The Senate Unity Forum says it is prepared to prove that it has an advantage over the Saraki group.
We have had about 8 years of stability in the Senate. And therefore, it's something that I would like to build on. I spoke about the independence of the legislature. Until we are able to be independent of the executive, we cannot properly position ourselves to undertake our responsibilities and discharge our mandate. There is need for us to always build consensus in the Senate, in the 8th Senate, and you will agree with me that the 8th Senate is unlike any previous Senate.
A list with signatures does not prove anything. First of all, you must get the person physically to tell you that, yes, my name on that list is by my authorization. 2, the signature on that list was signed by me. We want to show you a list when all the people concerned are sitting with us. So if you are making your inference to the fact that one group shows a list and another does not, and therefore one of them is lying, we will not be the ones to show you who is lying. I think it will be your business to find out who is lying.
For now, none of the candidates is prepared to back down, even as APC leaders are insisting that they will not interfere in the process. Their supporters are also digging in and have been engaged in horse trading, as well as reaching out to the 49 PDP senators elect.
If you've just tuned in, this is CoreTV News at 4. We'll go for a quick break. The news will return with more stories. Don't go away.
One continent, 54 countries, over 2,000 languages, but united in similar interests. As news breaks, we give you in-depth analysis around Africa every Monday on CoreTV News.
Welcome back. Well, you can track these stories and more following us on these social media platforms: facebook.com/CoreTV News, or our Twitter handle at CoreTV News NG, and also YouTube, youtube.com/CoreTV, and leave a space and then news. Now, President-elect Muhammadu Buhari has reaffirmed his willingness to work with any leader of the National Assembly that the process throws up, irrespective of what part of the country he or she comes from. He also maintained that he has no intention of meddling in the internal affairs of the federal lawmakers. In a statement released in Abuja on Wednesday, Buhari said this has become necessary because of the manner his name continues to be linked to some candidates. He noted that there is due process for the selection of leaders of the National Assembly, and he is prepared to toe the line. The president-elect added that the media and the public should begin to get used to the idea that it's no longer business as usual. While President Goodluck Jonathan has signed the Tobacco Control Bill 2015 into law, it is one of the 6 different bills passed by the National Assembly that the president ascended to. Presidential spokesman Ruben Abati confirmed the development to State House correspondents. The bill is to ensure effective regulation and control of production, manufacture, sale, labeling, advertising, promotion and sponsorship of tobacco and tobacco products in Nigeria. Other bills signed into law by the president include the Nigerian Electricity Management Services Agency Act 2015, Equipment and Leasing Bill 2015, AMCON Amendment Bill 2015, Standards Organization of Nigeria Bill 2015, and the National Sugar Development Bill 2015 as amended. ECOWAS follows next. Now, the Speaker of the ECOWAS Parliament, Senator Ike Ekweremadu, has described the continued absence of a proper legislative arm as a huge setback for ECOWAS at 40. He said this at the closing of the 2015 first ordinary session of the ECOWAS Parliament in Abuja on Wednesday. Addressing the Parliament, Senator Ekweremadu said it was sad that 40 years after its establishment, ECOWAS cannot boast of a regional parliament in true sense of parliament. He noted that an ECOWAS parliament was inaugurated in 2000. The community parliament had remained a tall shop and a resource drain since it does not perform any legislative function. He said that although the heads of government adopted the act as its 46th ordinary session in Abuja in December 2014, it wasn't signed at its recent 47th ordinary session in Accra because of the opposition mounted by Senegal and Côte d'Ivoire. Now, ahead the May 29 handover ceremony, a charity football match has been held in Kaduna as part of activities to usher in Nasir El-Rufai as the new state governor. The match was co-organized by Kaduna State sports stakeholders and is pitched a team led by the governor-elect against selected stars. Amina Anebi has more in this report as presented from our studios.
The The football match was in two phases, starting with the Kaduna selected stars against Kaduna United. Later, a team led by the governor-elect engaged Kaduna State veteran stars. Before the game, the governor-elect appreciated the concept and noted that the state will witness a lot of good things.
I believe sports is a way to earn revenues for Nigeria. This state of Kaduna has produced international stars like Tijani Babangida, Amokachi, Garba Lawal, and so on, and we are hoping to replicate this by training our youths to be football stars that will play for Arsenal and other teams, not Manchester United, just Arsenal and so on.
Former Super Eagles player Tijani Babangida took part in the match. He expressed happiness at being part of an idea to honor the governor-elect.
People's governor loves sport, because what he showed today really will give a lot of confidence for the young ones, that they have a governor that loves sport, they have the governor that is going to help the youth in sport. That's a very good thing the governor did, really.
The organizers believe that the new government will make sports one of its major priority. Aside from the football match, Governor-elect Nasir El-Rufai engaged his deputy in a game of table tennis. And while all these were run, a group of youth who had gathered at the stadium kept chanting, "Say."
Kaduna State Governor-elect there having fun playing football and table tennis. Moving on now. Still with the Kaduna State Governor-elect Nasir El-Rufai, who has vowed to recover all debts owed the state government. He made the promise on Thursday at an inaugural lecture organized by the Transition Committee. The former FCT minister also insisted that he would not tolerate any act of corruption. Amina Nebi has more in this report, as presented from our studios. Well, we'll bring you that report in our subsequent bulletins. Now to security, where Inspector General Police Solomon Arache has ordered the diversion of traffic on all roads around Eagle Square on Friday, May the 29th, to ensure hitch-free presidential inauguration. He has also ordered tight security around the square, hotels, as well as other key and vulnerable places within the Federal Capital Territory, FCT. A police statement said that the teams are also to mount what it described as tactical operation points on all roads leading into and out of the FCT. Now, Nigerians are no doubt counting the hours to the end of the tenure of President Goodluck Jonathan and the 16-year rule of the People's Democratic Party. But beyond the May 29th inauguration, Nigerians expressed their expectations of the Buhari administration. Our correspondent Rashid speaks with residents of Kwara and filed in this report.
The 29th of May 2015 will no doubt be the dawn of a new era in Nigeria, with the inauguration of the 5th Executive President, Muhammadu Buhari, of the All Progressives Congress. This, to Nigerians, should be the time to reprioritize Nigeria's problems and tackle corruption. Professor Abdul Ghani Ambali, the Vice Chancellor of University of Ilorin, expresses confidence that Nigeria will experience positive turnaround in the administration of Muhammadu Buhari.
In terms of what the incoming government should do, well, I admire and respect the administration, the incoming administration, and based on the antecedents of the person that we all elected to lead us, I think there's no doubt on my mind that he will lead us to the required enviable destination, even without much input from us.
Some Nigerians also speak on the areas which Buhari should give more attention and priority.
The nation has a lot of problems. Number one is corruption. Number two is insecurity. Number three is unemployment. Number four is power. Number five is infrastructural decay or non-existent of infrastructural facilities. So I would want him to start from the issue of corruption. Because virtually all the things we are lacking in the country are as a result of corruption. Which I have very great expectations for the man, that is Itajeora Mohamed Buhari. I believe that his government is going to give us a very big change in terms of good governance, transparency, putting away crime, and ensuring that corruption is brought to the minimum in this country.
As the People's Democratic Party becomes the opposition party in Nigeria, the country will know that experience change. But if it's going to be a positive change or otherwise, time will tell in the Buhari-led government. Rashid, CoreTV News, Ilorin.
Away from inauguration and what goes with it, now to other matters. The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, has expressed its readiness to obey the court judgment which ordered its operatives to vacate the Lagos residence of Senator-elect for Ogun East Senatorial District, Buruji Kashamu in Lekki. The agency said this in a statement issued by its spokesman, Michelle Ofoyeju. It, however, did not specify when its operatives would leave. The NDLEA had on Tuesday said it was not in possession of any court order to leave the Kashamu's residence, as it was pronounced by Justice Ibrahim Buba of the Federal High Court in Lagos. Now, despite the order by a Federal High Court in Lagos that Ogun East Senator-elect Buruji Kashamu's Lagos residence be vacated by men of the NDLEA who have laid siege at his residence since Saturday, the drug enforcement men are still at his residence. On a visit to the Lekki Phase 1 residence of the Senator-elect, men of the enforcement agency were still seen fully on ground and restricting movement, especially pressmen. Some residents and cab drivers say total movement was restricted yesterday by men of the agency who do not seem in a hurry to go. And of course, to Children's Day now, the Bring Back Our Girls group on Wednesday organized a special sit-out to commemorate the 2015 Children's Day celebration in honor of the abducted Chibok girls. The event, which was anchored by children, took place at the Unity Fountain in Abuja, where a renewed appeal was specifically made to the incoming government on the rescue of the girls. The coordinator of the group, Obi Ezekwesili, also used the occasion to reaffirm the need for children to be given assurance of a comfortable existence.
We have failed our children in not being capable of running our nation in the way that it has a peaceful and conducive environment for our children to acquire the kind of education that got us as far as we have come today. Our children are our investment. They are the guarantors of our future as a nation.
The Nigerian Army at the Rukuba Barracks in Jos, Plateau State, has dismissed about 200 soldiers from service for their failure to capture the Sambisa forest, a notorious hideout for Boko Haram terrorists in Borno State. They were dismissed for laxity and cowardice in the cause of duty. One of the affected soldiers, Ogunloye Sunday, an indigene of Ondo State, who confirmed the dismissal to journalists in Jos, said they were in on the two-count charge of failure to perform military duty and disobedience of standing order. He, however, argued that they would seek redress in court as the charges pressed against him and his colleagues were untrue, false, and malicious. Denying the claim by the army authorities that the soldiers abandoned their duties and ran away, Sunday explained that sufficient weapons were not provided for them to fight terrorists and, therefore, they ran out of weapons. He also said the weapons provided for the troops were obsolete. A federal high court in Abuja has adjourned the fraud case brought by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, against a former governor of Bayelsa State, Temipere Silva, till June 8, 2015. Silva is alleged to have used 3 companies to move about 19.2 billion naira from Bayelsa State coffers between 2009 and 2012 under false pretense of using the withdrawn money to augment salaries of the state government workers. At the resumption of proceedings on Wednesday, the court heard the 2 pending applications brought before it challenging the case. Counsel to Silva Lateef Fagbemi had brought an application praying that the charges be quashed, while counsel to the fourth accused person, Ajayi Olowo, challenged the jurisdiction of the court on the ground that the case involved money belonging to the Bayelsa state government. Responding, Jacobs told the court that there was indeed a prima facie case against Silva and his co-accused. He maintained that it is where the offense was committed that covers jurisdiction, while noting that several billions of naira were withdrawn from the state coffers and changed to dollars at an Abuja-based bureau de change. Justice Ahmed Mohammed adjourned till June 8 to deliver his ruling on the applications and counter affidavits. Staying with the EFCC, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission has arraigned one Christopher Isibo before Justice Ibrahim Buba of the Federal High Court, sitting in Lagos, on a 3-count charge bordering on conspiracy and illegal dealing in stolen crude oil. The suspect was arraigned on the basis of a petition by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission and Economic and Organized Crime Offense Office, Ghana, which alleged that the accused person is into conspiracy, stealing and money laundering alongside a Ghanaian marketer, Alexia and Oxia Energy Limited. EFCC said its investigation showed that some Nigerian company, Earth Petroleum Development Limited, Spara Oil and Gas Limited, hijacked a vessel, MT Solution, in 2013 and used it to convey 167,000 metric tons of low-poor fuel oil, LPFO, stolen from Nigerian creeks and transported to Ghana. The accused pleaded not guilty to the charge when read to him and was granted bail in the sum of 500 million naira and 2 sureties in like sum. The accused is to remain in custody pending when he meets the bail terms. The case was adjourned to June the 18th for commencement of trial. And from that legal story, we'll go for another break. When the news returns, we'll bring you sports and, of course, news outside Nigeria. Stay with us.
You can now watch CoreTV News live from anywhere in the world on our website, www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
And welcome to CoreTV Primetime Days.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click CoreTV, leave a space, then news. CoreTV News, a 24-hour news station.
Back now to the exciting world of sports. Newly crowned BBC Women's Footballer of the Year, Asisat Oshoala, tops the list of 23 players released by Super Falcons coach Edwin Okon for the 2015 Women's World Cup starting in Canada next month. Also conspicuous in the list are team captain Evelyn Nwaboko, top scorer at the 2014 Africa Women's Championship Desire Okparanozie, and veteran goalkeeper Precious Dede. US-based forward Francisca Odega, Onome Ebi, Josephine Chukwunonye, Ngozi Ebere, midfielder Halimatu Ainde, veteran striker Perpetua Nkwocha, and England-based Ini Abasi Umotong are also on the list. Coach Okon left out goalkeeper Sandra Chichi and 2012 FIFA Under-17 World Cup top scorer Chiwendu Ihezua, a Nigerian player in Sweden, Australia and US. Nigeria plays Sweden, Australia and USA in Group D at the 7th FIFA Women's World Cup, with their first match against Sweden in Winnipeg on June the 8th. Our next story is to the FIFA crisis, where FIFA President Sepp Blatter has chaired an emergency meeting under growing political pressure over a corruption scandal that saw arrest on Wednesday. UK Prime Minister David Cameron is calling for Blatter's resignation, while Russian President Vladimir Putin has backed Blatter for a 5th term. But Blatter says he has no intention of resigning. Friday's presidential election will now go ahead, and UEFA, which had threatened a boycott, says it will attend. The head of UEFA Europe's football body, Michel Platini, had asked Blatter to resign after the crisis talks in Zurich, Switzerland, which involve heads of 6 international federations and key sponsors, who have also expressed concern over the twin corruption investigations by the U.S. and Swiss authorities. Platini met Blatter one-on-one after the talks and asked him to directly step down, even though Blatter was not among the total of 14 people charged by the U.S. authorities on Wednesday with racketeering, fraud, and money laundering. And out to tennis, where defending champion Maria Sharapova and 17-time Grand Slam winner Roger Federer enjoyed comfortable second-round wins at the French Open in Paris. Sharapova 28 dispatched world number 91 and fellow Russian Vitalia Diachenko 6-3, 6-1 in 81 minutes. Switzerland's Federer 33 recovered from a breakdown in the second set to beat Spain's Marcel Granola 6-2, 7-6 and had a tie-break 7-1 before dispersing the man at 6-3. Simanola Halep, runner-up in 2014, is out after defeat by Mirnaya Lucic Baroni. And Rory McIlroy, that's in golf, faces an uphill battle to make the cut at the Irish Open after calling a 9-over par 80 in the first round at Royal County Down. McIlroy, 26, struggled with all areas of his game as he posted 5 bogeys in his first 9 holes and dropped a further. The world number 1 has missed the cut at the last 2 Irish Open tournaments. England's Danny Willett, Argentinian Emiliano Grillo and Dane Soren Svensson shared the clubhouse lead in 2 under. They enjoyed a one-shot lead over England, English trio of Luke Donald, Matt Ford and Chris Wood, plus Sweden's Rikard Karlberg, who are all 1 under after their opening rounds. Starting at the 10th, world number 1 McIlroy, who pledged to donate his prize money this week to his charitable foundation. The official tournament hosts strayed occasionally off the tee, was repeatedly erratic with his iron play and struggled with the putter throughout. And finally, here on the news at 4, the news outside Nigeria now. Malaysia is investigating 12 policemen suspected of involvement in human trafficking camps found in the remote north of the country. And according to Deputy Home Minister Wan Junaidi, 4 of them had been arrested during various police investigations since early last year. Authorities said 139 graves had been found on the border with Thailand. The migrants are mainly Rohingya Muslims fleeing persecution in Myanmar, former Burma, also known as Burma, or economic migrants from Bangladesh. The 8 other policemen were arrested by the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission for alleged involvement in human trafficking. Reports say authorities have started excavating the graves found in jungle in northern Perlis state to confirm how many bodies they held and who they were. Thai police also uncovered similar abandoned camps on the Thai side of the border earlier in May. Facing international pressure, the 2 countries agreed to provide investigation stories. And that's how we call it quits here on the news at 4. Many thanks for joining us. I am Emmanuel Ezekiel.